Part 1 of a new series, Sex Sells the Women of Rock.
The history of rock and roll is mostly in the background. As they've emerged to seek their equal place in society, they have also sought an equal place in rock. As that was achieved, women began to follow in the musical footsteps of the men who preceded them. And that meant emphasizing and capitalizing on sexuality. Today, we begin a week-long series, Sex Sells the Women of Rock. With more than 10 million record sales under her belt, Madonna isn't just flirting with her sex appeal, she's flaunting it all the way to the bank. Madonna is just the latest version of the female sex symbol in popular music. That symbolism has evolved through some drastic changes. When Bill Haley kicked off the rock era in 1955, you might be surprised who the first woman was to have a #1 hit.
1, 2, and then rock.
K-Star with Rock and Roll Waltz in 1956. Throughout the 50s, the sex appeal driving buyers to the record stores was all male.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Women really came into the rock picture in the early 60s, mostly on a rather apologetic note.
Sorry, no. I'm sorry, so sorry.
Soon women started to increase their presence by forming into groups. The songs that made it to #1 often pleaded.
Please listen, folks, and look and see. Is there a letter for me?
Sweet, innocent, and dependent. Common themes for #1 hits by women in the early 60s.
My boyfriend's back and you're gonna be in trouble. Hey, la, my boyfriend's back.
Then in 1967, Aretha Franklin belted out what women in rock really were after. The late 60s were a pivotal time for women in music. Entertainment Tonight reporter Bobby Colombi had a first-hand viewpoint, because that's when he was the leader and drummer of Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Ride a painted pony, let the spinning wheel fly.
Back when our first records hit the charts, there just wasn't that much competition from women in rock. But there were a few who would soon make their presence felt. Diana Ross broke away from the Supremes and emerged as the dominant woman singer with a classy sex appeal all her own. Then came the women who broke the mold. Mama Cass and Janis Joplin proved women could sell records without looking cute or glamorous.
I am woman, watch me grow.
In the 70s, Helen Reddy gave the women's movement an anthem that hit #1 on the music charts. The door had finally been opened for women to express themselves on their own terms. And they did.
Today, it's no holds barred. Women rockers are showing their sexuality and have raised record profits and many objections.
Sexual exploitation that is being maneuvered through music that panders to the fantasies.
People are not realizing that their children are being exposed to really what are very mature themes, maybe what you'd even expect in strip joints, in burlesque shows.
I can tell you all day.
Tomorrow, Sheena Easton tells us just what she thinks of the controversies.
Women don't apologize for it anymore. It's like, you take us or you leave us.
An intriguing chronicle of growing up, the new movie 28 Up, when we return. The series Sex Sells the Women of Rock.
Constant tension in rock and roll, the fight between tradition and rebellion, familiarity and freedom. Lately, that battle has been fought over so-called sexually explicit lyrics, catching some of today's biggest female pop stars right in the middle of the fray. A look at past and present problems in part 2 of our series, Sex Sells the Women of Rock.
Well, these boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
Nancy Sinatra was the first woman in rock to drastically change her image and come away with a big hit. All 15 songs she'd released as a sweet girl next door fizzled. In 1966, she took an aggressive sexual stance and walked away with her only #1 hit. It's been over 20 years since Nancy Sinatra successfully achieved that transition. Since then, not many women performers have been able to change their images. But it doesn't mean they don't try. And of course, here in Hollywood, things aren't always the way they seem to be. Take, for example, this little gas station doing business as usual.
But as you can see, even a gas station can change its image. Tonight, this one has become a set for Sheena Easton's latest video.
Is a fantasy dance extravaganza. I have never done a video which is fantasy dance extravaganza, and this song lends itself to it.
Sheena Easton arrived on the music scene 6 years ago on a very conservative track. She then started one of the most remarkable chameleon acts in music history. Easton is the only singer to ever achieve top 5 hits on all the charts: pop rock, R&B, country, dance, and adult contemporary.
Her most successful album to date has been her sexiest. It's also brought the most criticism, particularly the top 10 hit, Sugar Walls. One of the most vocal critics is Tipper Gore, a congressman's wife and a founder of Parents Music Resource Center.
People are not realizing that their children are being exposed to really what are very mature themes, maybe what you'd even expect in strip joints, in burlesque shows.
You think of rock and roll, it's just from the heart, it's just go for it. And if you feel sexy and raw and raunchy, be you male or female, during any particular performance or song, then that's what you do.
But we're talking about a line that's been crossed when you have a top hit that's talking about, you know, come inside my sugar walls, spend the night inside my sugar walls. That's what people, particularly parents of younger kids, are trying to address.
We are not embarrassed to be sexy when we want to be. Men never have been. Men have never had to apologize for being sexy.
Elvis swung his hips, but he said, I want you, I need you, I love you. It was somewhat romantic, the themes of his songs. Sheena Easton sings, come inside my sugar walls.
Artists are just saying, hey, lighten up, get off our case. This is what art's all about, is being free. And if you don't like it, then turn into something else, you know, like go watch the news and watch violence if you don't like sexuality.
Tomorrow, we'll tell you how well sex appeal sold last year for the women in rock. And we'll hear what Apollonia thinks of all the exposure.
Had I been back